you will be shocked how much you don't know about sales. When I learned this material, it was like a light bulb moment for me. I was like, whoa, that's how sales is conducted.
Naja and Diana, two entrepreneurs who built a full-service content and marketing agency, from ads and funnels to podcasts, videos, and social media, and documented every step. This isn't theory. This is the exact system they use to close real clients, and now they're giving it away for free. One episode, every answer you've been looking for.
And a lot of times they'll say, oh, it's too expensive for me. They'll tell you something from the get-go as an excuse to not continue the conversation. What they actually mean is that they don't believe that the result is worth the risk at that moment. Welcome to the Taking the Leap podcast, where it's Naja and myself who are running a business. We're entrepreneurs, and we are wanting to be an open book with everything that we do. And one of the things that we're going to focus on today and be an open book with all of you is all about how we do our sales when it comes to Parrots Lab.
All right, so this is going to be an entire sales training, high ticket sales training. So if you're watching or listening, just know that we both prepared a ton of material here to give you a complete guide on how to conduct high ticket sales. Because we are building in public, we have a digital marketing agency, studio, content agency, etc. And we are in the high ticket space. And so we thought that, instead of preparing all of this training material for our sales team, may as well share it with the rest of the world. And I'm sure that a lot of high ticket salespeople and business owners who are starting out, they definitely need this kind of material, especially because it's so, you will be shocked how much you don't know about sales when you learn all of this stuff. And I want to make a bet for those listening. If this 1 or 1.5 hours or whatever that takes us, if this material is not worth your time, drop me a message and I'll give you $100 gift card. That's how confident I am, and I'm sure you are too, in how important this material is. Because when I learned, and again, I'm not claiming that I'm perfect, but when I learned this material, it was like a light bulb moment for me. I was like, whoa, that's how sales is conducted.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, we're really excited. We hope that other people take from this. And, quite honestly, low ticket sales is so different from high ticket sales. When it comes to high ticket sales, you have to create those relationships. It's a long game. It's not a short game. So that's what we're going to be touching on today.
Right. So before we get started, I just want to also put the sales in the context of the business. So the sales component is one of the 4 main pillars of any business.
Yes.
The 4 main pillars of a business are marketing, sales, production, and admin.
Yeah.
And shout out to Shelby who taught me all of that, right?
Yeah, Shelby is one of our mentors. He is absolutely incredible. So one quick thing about Shelby, and you can also find some of his videos through Parrots Lab, is Shelby is somebody who has made a profession to go into people's companies and rebuild them. And he's basically a CEO for a certain amount of time. He goes in, rebuilds them, takes care of them, gets them from where they are initially to where they dream of being. And he does it in 56 weeks, which is absolutely insane. And he has had nothing but 100% success rates. And so he's super sought after, very well known, and he is a mentor of ours. And we're so grateful to be able to spend any time with him, because every time that we get to spend time with him, he gives us a bunch of really useful information.
Yeah, and knowledge is power. And his company, Hypergrowth, as you said, takes companies from whatever they are stuck into 7 figures, 8 figures. It's hyper growth. That's exactly the name of the company. Okay. So we understood this context, which is the 4 main pillars. The marketing generates the leads, and the sales team converts those leads into customers, into cash. And this is the center of our presentation and our work today. So this is going to be very important. So we're not talking about marketing. We're not talking about how to bring you leads. This is going to be a separate episode. We're not talking about production and how to scale production. And we're not talking about administrative stuff.
Right.
We're talking about only that sales pillar within that business context and how we can maximize the effectiveness of the sales department of your company.
Yeah. And Naja and I were talking about this earlier. We were like, okay, so now our clients are going to know how we do what we do when it comes to sales. And it's like, great, let them see it. We are a completely open book. And so this is where our clients will see that in no way are we ever tricking them. In no way are we ever, blindsiding them. We have a particular method so that way they can see themselves and they're bought in fully whenever they come and work with us. And that is how you keep the longevity of a relationship with a client.
Absolutely. One last thing is that what happens in the last week preparing for this episode is that Diana went on and prepared you did extensive research and prepared this wonderful presentation on sales. And the good thing is that I'm also coming prepared. So I also collected a bunch of research. So we may add to each other's ideas. Maybe we can at some point discuss and maybe, have some different perspectives.
Yeah, some different, that's what I'm looking forward to too. Like you have a bunch of information from Shelby and the things that you've learned. And I might come in with something slightly different and maybe both methods work, or maybe we just have different terminology for the same method. So that's really exciting to me.
Yeah, just talk to your research coming from some key sales people that you extensively listen to.
Yeah.
Do you want to name?
Yeah. So I'm obsessed with Cody Sanchez. So Cody Sanchez is this entrepreneur who has gone and bought boring businesses and made a huge empire from buying these small, boring businesses from people who have grown these businesses over the years, are wanting to retire, but they don't really have anybody to leave their legacy, if you will, to. And so what she does is she buys them, makes them better. And then she's created a lot of opportunities for people to come and work there too. And so, yeah, she's built this really crazy empire. She's had a lot of really cool relationships with people. And so she's someone that I really admire and look up to. Another person that I'm going to be taking some of these methods from is Shelby Sapp. She is also an entrepreneur, and she focuses on high ticket sales.
Yeah, her channel is She Sells or something like that.
Oh yeah, her channel is She Sells, and one thing that I like about her is that she's very niched out, where she works with in the wellness realm.
But
right?
high ticket too.
It's also high ticket. And 100%. So she gives ideas and she gives examples on what to do when it comes to creating and being able to do those high ticket sales. All right.
Wonderful.
So
let's get started.
So when it comes to high ticket sales, what we mean by that is typically the price point is about $3,000, $3,000 or more. Now, business to business, that's a completely different thing. We're not business to business per se. We are. Oh, sorry.
We're selling to businesses.
Yeah,
so
we are selling to businesses. But what I'm talking about when I think of business to business, I think of like big conglomerate businesses where we are more of like a family business type of deal.
Sure. Yes. More onto the small to medium sized companies that we work with.
Exactly. And the reason we like to focus on those is because family businesses, they're the ones that started from scratch. They're the ones that are trying to get their business from a particular place where maybe they're known locally, they're loved locally, but they want to get bigger at more city to city scale.
And why it's important to really spend 2 hours with us learning about sales, because it's so much more expensive to get a new client versus converting the leads that you're already getting. So for example, marketing spends all this marketing dollars in ads and, working on the website and the SEO and maybe some people go into like billboards and they spend a ton of money for what? To get the phone to ring, for that lead, right? When that lead comes in, that's why it's so crucial for us to convert this lead. And so without the lead, nothing in the business works.
Right.
If the lead doesn't come, if the phone does not ring, we don't have any opportunity to make any sales. And if we don't have sales, that means that there's no cash coming in. And if there's no cash coming in, we don't have a business. And so that's why it's so important to start with these sales abilities, even before we talk about generating leads. Because if we don't know what to do with these leads, like we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Once a lead comes in, like how are you going to close them? Right?
Thank you.
And so with high ticket sales specifically, the sales cycle really is, in order for us to get a sale for a high ticket client, we have to have that trust. You talk about know, like, and trust. Well, yeah, one of the things that we do is we put ourselves out there. And I know we're not talking about marketing, but we make ourselves visible. We make ourselves known. We're vulnerable. In some episodes, you see me cry. In some episodes, you see us having an argument. In other episodes, we're super lovey-dovey. And that's okay. That's good. Because now when our clients come to us, they know what to expect. 100%. We're not all polished and perfect because there's no such thing as that.
Yeah.
And so with the sales cycle, we want to ensure that with our high ticket sales clients, our relationship is longer. We don't want a one and done because that's not how it works. It's kind of like working out. You want to see results, it takes some time, right? It takes at least 6 months in order for you to see the true results that you're looking for. It's not going to be month one. It requires that trust that we talked about, right? In order for them to stay with us for those 6 months, we need to generate that trust with them. And we need to continuously have multiple touch points. It's not like they come to the studio or we record them one time and then they don't see us for the rest of the month, right? We have to make sure that we're maintaining those relationships, taking them to lunch, that we are touching base with them, that we have our weekly meetings or our monthly meetings with them, along with the entire team that works on their product, to ensure that, okay, we are still top priority. We are still being seen. We're still being taken care of. And that is what is needed when it comes to those high ticket sales and those high ticket clients.
All right, let's get into it.
All right. So for our sales team needs to have that high ticket mindset, right? And so a lot of people, when they think of sales, it's scary to them. They're like, oh, I don't know how to make a sale, right? And the reason for that is a lot of potential clients or a lot of people that we want to sell to, they automatically get like this greasy feeling like, oh, I don't want to be sold to. People hate being sold to, but they love to buy, right? And so what the psychology for our salespeople is like, okay, people love to buy. Why not buy from me? And again, that's where that trust component has to come in. And so for our sales teams, we let them know, hey, if you want to really be successful at sales, you have to not be afraid of being told no. It's like with anybody. Think of the best salesperson ever. They probably got the door slammed on their faces. They got rejected. They got said bad words to. They probably got, like insulted in some way, shape, or form. And that's okay. That's the difference between somebody that just decided to quit and somebody who went on to be great and make millions, right? So having that mindset is so important. Don't give up. Don't be afraid of rejection. The rejection is what's going to make your skin thick, right? Rejection is going to be what makes your skin thick. Yes. And so as you do it, as you get rejected, you're not going to care so much about the rejection anymore. You're going to have the mindset of being hungry and of just wanting to hit your goal.
And I love how you started with mindset. We're starting with something that even before the sales even begin, like even before you probably, if you're watching this and you probably have a sales call scheduled next week and you're saying, okay, well, that's when the mindset comes in. Mindset is a part of the 6. This is again something that I learned. Okay, there are 6 key steps of selling anything to anybody. Okay, number 1 is prep. The prep mindset comes into prep. Like you have to be in the mindset of positive thinking. You have to be in the mindset that assuming the sales is already done. So you have to go in there with that, positive mindset, saying that, okay, I need to share my gift to them.
Yes.
I need to share. I need to help them. I need to, the sales is not really like I need to take something from you, but more I'm excited to share with you the solutions I have for your problems.
Exactly. I really, truly believe that every salesperson should believe in the product that they're selling. That's what's going to help them be great. And so, and to your point, with that positive mindset is super important, because that's when they're going to be like, this is going to happen. And it's kind of like whatever you put out into the universe, it's going to come right back at you. So if you're positive, if you're excited, if you're, passionate about what it is that you have to share, then people are going to match that energy. Whereas if you're uncertain or you're kind of, passive or afraid, then people are going to be like, what are they doing? Right? Exactly. They're going to be like, I don't trust this person. And that's why we have to remember, again, high ticket sales, you are having and building the relationship with the people first. You're showing up, you're getting to know them, you're asking questions and letting them speak in order for the sale to eventually happen.
Right. So let's talk about this 6-step process for selling anything to anybody. Number 1 is prep. Number 2 is introduction.
Yep.
Number 3 is qualifying that lead. Number 4 is present the offer. Number 5 is close. And then number 6 is follow up. So we're going to start with prep, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to prep, a big one is controlling your own objections and owning your own objections. So there's a really cool 4-step thing that this 4-step process that you can use when it comes to owning and controlling the objections that you might have. For example, you might say, there are some people who are kind of just starting off in the sales world. And they might be like, oh, I don't want to approach that rich guy, right? They might see right through me, or this prospect is way too big for me. Well, the thing about this is time and again, it's actually the people who have more money, the people who are wealthier, the people that are richer, they're the ones that are actually more willing to give you that opportunity. And so, and again, this is just one example. So it's always important to acknowledge whatever fear it is that you're feeling, whatever limiting belief that you feel that you have. And I say limiting belief because we all have them. We're not good enough. We're not pretty enough. We're not smart enough. We're not wealthy enough. We all have that at some point. So acknowledge it and then challenge that limiting belief that you have. And then when you challenge that limiting belief, it allows you to kind of control that limiting belief, and then you take it and then you reframe it. Yes, I may not have as much experience as I'd like, but this is going to help me to get better, right? And so that's what we're talking about with reframing it. You've acknowledged, now you're challenging it, you're reframing, and you're saying, I'm getting better. So after this one, I'll be even better than I am today, right? Or that I am right now. And then just act on it. It's kind of like what we talk about all the time between you and I jokingly. It's like we feel the fear, but we do it anyway. And that's the only way that we're going to grow. If we feel the fear and we don't do anything about it, then how are we going to grow? Right?
100%.
It's nice and dandy to read books on people that have gone out and had adventures, and we dream about it. But if we don't go out and do those adventures ourselves, then what do we have to say for ourselves? That we read a book, right? And so we want to make sure that we are taking those objections, challenging them, and then doing something about it.
They say that to know and not to do is really not to know.
Yeah, I love that.
Sounds good. All right. What's next?
All right. So the next thing is when it comes to sales, it's important for you to know who you're selling to.
Absolutely. I have it here, right here. So our notes match here. Yeah. So knowing who are you be talking to. And right now, what I'm doing with Parrots Lab, whenever I have a call, a Zoom call or a meeting, I'm always learning more about who am I talking to.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. The other day, I was doing research to that. I put her name on Google and I found, oh, there's that name belongs to that company who does exactly the same domain. Only to discover that the person I'm meeting has the same name, but completely different person. Why? Because this person I'm meeting has no footprint on the internet whatsoever. So it gets really hard for me to research them. So, but I do research everyone who's coming on a call with me or who's coming to the studio for an in-person meeting. I'm Googling them. I'm learning more about what do they like, what do they don't like, what's their, where they are in the. I'm trying to make assumptions and stuff, but I'm also forming in my mind like questions I need to ask them too.
Yeah, and then there's a big difference between making assumptions and also understanding, right? You do the research because you don't want to make assumptions. You want to understand if they're a qualified buyer or if they're an unqualified buyer. So what do I mean by that? Well, an unqualified buyer is somebody who's just browsing. You see that there's no urgency. They're kind of like poking around, but not really doing a whole lot with the information. And they do want information, but they don't want transformation at the moment, right? There's no urgency. And then the unqualified buyer is the person who is way outside of their we're way outside of their financial range. So like I said, our average ticket price is about $3K a month. So we're not going to sell to anybody that is not able to make those payments easily, right? So that's a big thing. We want to understand where they are financially because we also don't want to do them the disservice of breaking the bank.
Absolutely.
The other thing of what makes an unqualified buyer would be the person that is not the decision maker. So say, for example, we have our team and we have our managers, right? Our manager, they help us a lot. They understand the business, but they are not the decision maker when it comes to, for example, if we want to make a business decision, say right now we're landscaping outside, right? They're not the ones that are going to make the decision. We are. And so it's important for us to make sure that we do not share pricing and we do not create this plan for the person that is unqualified to make the decision. It has to be to the main decision maker.
Absolutely. We need to know who's writing the check. So.
We have to know that. And we only know that by having the conversations. And then we also do not want to sell to the unqualified buyer who just wants to use this as therapy. Like, oh, well, I had a negative experience this last time. And you can tell that they just want to have a conversation, but that conversation really isn't going anywhere. And so there are definitely people who just love to vent and love to share, but aren't really going to go anywhere. And so once we understand that, it's important for us to let it go.
Yeah, I've had calls before where exactly that. The person starts with like, I've been burned before. You guys are the agencies. You do all of these nasty things. We have to keep paying, otherwise you will hurt us and all of that stuff. So they're coming with that negative mindset. They've burned before, and that's okay as long as we just stay calm and not defensive and say, we have to have empathy too. Like I would be like, oh, I would totally agree with you. Like if this happens to me, I will feel the same way. So we'll be immediately on their side and say, hey, is there a world where we can change our opinion?
Yeah.
And then that question will like make them think that, I've tried all of this stuff. I've burnt all this money before. Am I blocked for never to love again type deal?
Yeah.
If I got like in so many bad relationships before, do I quit on love? Do I quit on on marriage, for example. The same goes with these clients. We ask them the same question. You've been burnt so many times before with agencies. Are you quitting on digital marketing? And, we have to understand that, digital marketing, for example, if they quit on digital marketing, they're literally quitting on their business.
Right.
Because people are spending 2.5 hours every single day on their phone. And if you're not taking some of that attention, your competitors are. And your business is not going to grow if you don't utilize this mass opportunity when it comes to internet marketing or digital marketing.
Yeah, I agree. And to your point, then there's the qualified buyer, right? And the qualified buyer is, they could come to you and they could say, oh, it hasn't worked for me before. But you can tell when they're hoping that you can help them, right? Yeah. When you're hoping that you're going to find a way to get them to say yes. They want to say yes, but they just need to be listened to, and they need us to identify that pain point. And oftentimes they'll tell us what that pain point is, and we're like, yes, we can take care of that. Yeah.
And so for me, when it comes to the qualification, and I think you touched on a lot of important things, but to be practical with the salespeople, like if we want to be practical, okay, how do you assess if that prospect is qualified to work with us or not? I would say number one is, do they have the means to spend, like you said, $3,000, like $3,000 or more, $3,000 a month? It doesn't have to be a month, but at least if someone is maybe just starting out and their business is making $2,000 or $3,000 a month, they're not going to be able to, pay it all to us, right? So they really, no matter how convinced of of our service they are, we don't
want them to spend that, because we want them. Of course, we want to make sure that their business is financially okay, that they're not struggling and freaking out. We've been there before, so that's not something that we would wish on anybody, and we would never take advantage of that.
Absolutely. So how would you know if you're talking to someone who has the means? You're not going to tell them like, hey, how much money do you have, right? You're not going to tell them.
No.
But like, I'm asking you, how would you know if you meet someone like for the first time, how would you know if they have the means to pay $3,000 a month?
I love that you're asking this question, because here's the thing, and I'll touch on this a little bit later, but when we're having those discovery conversations, 20% of the time you should be speaking, and 80% of the time they should be speaking. So you speak and ask questions only, and then you shut up. Right? You stop talking. And so one of the questions that you can ask is, where's your business right now? Tell me about the health of your business, right? And then they'll start sharing. They'll start telling you, what's your biggest pain point right now, right? You ask those questions, and then so that you can understand where they're at. You can understand what they need. And that's going to get you the leverage that you need.
Yes, but then it's tricky, because some people will like to boast. And they don't like to appear small. Oh, we were like that. We were like, I've had calls where, oh, we're buying this like $5 million property, blah, blah, blah. They're boasting, right? When I look them up, like, how many employees do they have? Employees is a strong indicative on how much revenue this company make.
Yeah.
If the company is a solopreneur, there are some solopreneurs who are successful, especially in the age of AI right now, but we're still not there yet. So when someone is solopreneur, they have to be in an extremely niched out segment of the market,
because they're the ones that are wearing the 50 different hats.
Exactly. And so it's really rare to see someone who's a solopreneur who are able to afford our high ticket services. And so for me, my criteria is that how many employees you have. Anywhere between 5 and more employees, it means that this company is generating close to $1 million in revenue. With $1 million in revenue, now I know that, okay, they could afford $3,000 a month without breaking
the bank,
without freaking out about, oh my God, I spent like all my revenue this month, right? So you don't want those kind of customers, because they put so much pressure. And it's not like that we don't have results associated with that, definitely, but results come over time. It's like a chicken and egg situation. You have to invest and reap the investment later on down the line.
Yeah. No, every single time our clients do see results within 6 months. They're not going to see it month one because that's where we're building that platform for them.
Infrastructure, yeah.
Right. And so for those clients, and we've had those clients, and this is why we're sharing this information is we've had the clients where, okay, they'll put in the money, but then they're like on you every day. Like, oh, okay, so what's the result? What's the result? You know, and they expect the result in like 10 days. And it's like, buddy, that's not how this works.
Yeah, we don't sell get rich quick
We're
schemes.
not scams. We don't do get rich quick stuff. It really is a process. It's a method. We're building a process and a structure for you.
It's like, imagine, you want to build a house and you gave me the money and I started digging the foundation. And you came to me and like 10 days later, like, where's my house? I was like, I'm in the foundation still. Like, chill.
Yeah. And so that can be not only stressful for them, but it can be stressful for us too, because we want to make sure that they're happy. We want to make sure that we're providing them the results. And we do share with them metrics and things, but again, it takes time.
Yes.
So another thing with the qualified buyer, we want to make sure that they are emotionally ready to decide. And we talk about emotions because there are some people that have the money, right? And they are financially sound, but maybe they don't understand. And so we want to work with people that have been doing the research themselves and that are able to see. If you go out and you look at marketing agencies, you're going to see that we really are top of the line, that we really are, you know, we have retained all of our clients. Our clients are all happy. We've got nothing but positive feedback and testimonials. And you've been able to see the growth over time for every single one of our clients, right? So if they do the research, if they go out and they're able to compare, we want them to do that because that helps them feel more confident in their decision.
Absolutely. 100%.
I love it. You know, it's funny because if you think about it, you know, when it comes to humans in general, humans will believe 100% of what is coming out of their own mouths. But when they encounter a salesperson, they'll believe 0. So when we're having those conversations with them, we want a lot to come out of their own mouths because that's what they're going to believe. And that's exactly why we talk about our salespeople, you know, ask a question and then zip it, because whatever comes out of your mouth, they're less likely to believe than what comes out of theirs. And they're the ones that are going to tell you what their needs are. They're the ones that are going to tell you how, if they're financially sound. They're the ones, everything is revealed by them. And they're going to, at the end of the day, sell themselves.
And that, I struggle with that a lot. You know, that I'm passionate about the things that services we offer. And I find it like I'm so excited to talk and talk and talk. And I'm learning now that the less we talk, and then I think you shared something super important about leverage. We're excited to talk about leverage in a second. But yeah, being able to have the discipline not to, as soon as they got on the call and you start like putting out all your resume, all your information, dumping all the information, overwhelming the prospect with a lot of things, that's a no-go.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna talk a little bit about decoding, like the psychological pushback that our potential clients will have and what that pushback really means, right? So I thought this was really, really cool. And you can let me know what your thoughts are on this too. You know, sometimes we will get our clients or our potential clients who will say, oh, after we talk about it all with them and we share a little bit as to what it is that we have, they're like, and what the pricing is. We're very transparent with pricing. They're like, oh, it's too expensive for me.
Oh, you're starting with rejections already? Are these rejections? Like objections?
Yeah, these are the potential objections.
Oh, but there's a lot more before that. I feel like before we come to the objection, okay, can I share some more information about that? Okay. All right. So few things about what it is here.
Because we were talking about the qualified and unqualified buyers, right? And when it comes to the high ticket sales.
Yes. So let's say we started the call. So right now we qualified the buyer. Okay. We qualified them. They have the means to pay. They have the need, including emotional or not. They have the pain, right?
Right.
And they've tried so many things before, and now they're ready, right?
Yeah.
Now what do we do? So first of all, we have to be asking questions to focus on the pain. So, and as you said, we let them share how painful it is. For example, what brings you to this call? Why did you, even if we approach them like, hey, why did you accept our invitation?
Yeah.
Like you always have to ask.
And oftentimes they're not calls. Yes, we'll have those initial calls, but more often than not, before we even try to sell anything to them, we're going to invite them to come to us. So that way they can visualize, they can see our studio, they can visualize themselves as to what it is that we do, because showing is better than telling.
100%. But say they come to the studio or they are in the call. So the first question is that, hello, Mr. Client or prospect, like what brings you in here today? Why did you accept our invitation to come? What made you book this call? What made you want to have this conversation? So this is like initial question here.
Right.
To get them and then you can go into like, how long have you been having this issue? So we're really highlighting, what did you try before? And so once we have all of that stuff, then we can start doing the mirroring and the recap. So these are quite important. But I think I missed something before, is the punctuality. Like, for example, if the meeting is at 2 p.m., we as the people, we have to be 5 minutes before on the call. So, I mean, the worst first impression you can make is that they logged into Zoom or they come and you're not there. That's a no-go. And then the other one is the verbal greeting at the beginning and the small talk.
Right.
People connect a lot from small talk. Oh, you're from originally from Louisiana, right? I saw this online. That my auntie is from Louisiana. You see what I mean? Like, so we're building that rapport even before we starting the actual meeting. And so that verbal greeting and the rapport, the small talk is quite important. And then, as I mentioned, we start digging into the pain. Right? Like we need to find that pain before we even say anything about our products or services. We need to understand where they are at and what their pain is. What did they try before? How long they've been sitting with that pain, and then what success looked like for them.
Right. Yeah, I think a big thing here is when it comes to buyer psychology, how do you even start the conversation in the first place? And oftentimes when in sales and we're reaching out to somebody, the moment they hear that, this is Diana from Parrots Lab, right? They're thinking they're trying to sell me. And so they'll be like, no, and so, and a lot of times they'll say, oh, it's too expensive for me, right? Or they'll tell you something from the get-go as an excuse to not continue the conversation with you. So, so when they're like, oh, this is too expensive, no, I'm not interested. Then what we need to understand, what they actually mean is that they don't believe that the result is worth the risk at that moment, right? And so with that, again, we're not selling anything. We're not saying, okay, it's $3,000, right? We're not selling them anything. When we hear something like that, before we even start the conversation, that's when we're like, oh, okay. So as I have the conversation with Naja, the potential client, I understand that I need to build value for this person before I even really get into anything. The value component is going to be so much needed because because we want to make sure that we're connecting that expensiveness to the outcome. And we've already done our research. We've learned a lot about this person already. But when they say that it's too expensive to finish a conversation with us, well, that's when we can, again, using the 20%. Why is that? Right? And as we're building that rapport and building the conversation, right, that's when we can eventually start digging deeper. It's almost we're a little bit like therapists. We start digging deeper into their objections and their pain points behind it.
an example on that. If I come and tell a business owner, like, okay, well, come on to our studio session, 1 hour studio recording session, and it's $3,000. Like, what? Are you insane? You're selling 1 hour for $3,000? Are you crazy, right? But why? Because they did not see the value. But what if I tell you, like, hey, that 1 hour, we're going to record 12 ads and we're going to run those ads, and our clients usually see 10x, sometimes 100x the return on that. So for example, we have an actual concrete example that is like outstanding in the personal injury world, where, you know, our client is running ads for like $2,000 a month, but they're closing 8 leads a month from personal injury. So that $2,000 a month in ad spend is getting close to $160,000 in revenue. And so when you look at that investment, now $3,000 feels so cheap. It feels like a hack. Feels
now
like, I found something.
We need to double it, you know?
Exactly.
And it's like, okay. But the big thing here too is not everybody is going to have the same price point. We're saying 3K is the average, right? 3K is about the minimum. But we never start off with the price point because we don't know what the person needs. Maybe they need less. Maybe they need more. And so we don't want to have them in their head commit to 3K when actually it's a 7K project.
So
you know?
here's when Shelby would disagree with you, because I have his notes here. So I was exactly in that mindset, like before I attended his training. I was in the mindset like, oh, we don't reveal prices unless in the very end. But guess what? Like on parrotslab.com, our website, we have the pricing right there.
Yeah.
So, you know, we are
but it's not a cookie cutter thing.
It's not a cookie cutter. In a way, there are packages and they have pricing. So what I learned, and the reason why I'm using this is that I learned from Shelby something called price anxiety and price shock. These are 2 tools that a salesperson must use strategically. So let's say the first thing, when people come to our calls, the first thing is, I love everything I'm seeing, but how much is going to cost me? What's their damage? That's what they're going in their mind. That's what they're thinking about as you're presenting. And according to Shelby, who's, shout out again, Mr. Shelby Wilson. He's find him on Instagram and YouTube and everywhere. We handle his channels, and he's awesome. According to him, he says that the longer the prospect lives in the price anxiety, the more frustrated and the more negative they're going to be. So alternatively, if they ask you, okay, so what's this going to cost? You don't shy away from answering. You always answer, and you answer with a top high level price. Yeah. Well, this could be close to a $5,000 investment for you, sir. Now they are in a price shock. They're shocked by the price. But then their frame is like, okay, I'm looking at $5,000. Like they're imagining that they're gonna be paying $5,000 now. So if we go in anywhere lower than that at some point in the conversation, they're gonna feel like they got a bargain because we framed their mind that they're gonna be paying $5,000. So when we offer an amazing offer for $3,000, showing them the outcomes and whatnot, now they're more receptive. Yeah. So that's the use of price shock and price anxiety. And also there are some ways where we can show a range. A range gives us a range gives us a leeway. So they say, oh, what's your pricing? Well, we have packages anywhere between $1,500 and $5,000 or $7,000. So that way, we have all of that, room to, and then for them also to know, okay, well, I mean, I can pay $7,000 and get all the bells and whistles, and I can get $1,500. And so they have this playroom, but this is quite important. I think we do a little bit of that happy medium, right? Because yes, we do share 3K is our price, right? But we have also had where some clients are like, well, I don't need this.
I don't necessarily want to use this. I don't necessarily want to. And so this is how it doesn't stay 3K, it goes lower. However, we also have clients who are like, I want to be the priority. I want to be, touched based on almost every day. I want the extra bells and whistles. And so now we charge like 10K, right? So it depends on what it is. But if they say that it's too expensive, well, they're only going to say it's too expensive if they have an idea as to what the price point is. And so on our website, our average is 3K. And so they might think, okay, 3K is too expensive. Well, why? Right? And so they really are thinking, I've been burned before. I don't believe that the result is going to be worth the risk. And so now this is where we challenge that and we connect their pain point to the outcome extremely vividly. I would say that that another thing that we hear often after we start having the conversation with them, they're like, oh, I don't know. I need to think about it. Right? I need to think about it. That what they're explaining to you without saying it is, oh, I'm still uncertain about this, right? I'm not certain that this is the right move for me. And so this is where we go in and ask that other question. Well, what still needs to be resolved? What's unresolved for you? And then that's where we understand what we still have not made clear to them. Maybe it was clear for us, but we just didn't communicate it well enough to them. And so this gives us the opportunity to ask that question and then for them to tell us straight up.
Yeah. So when you ask, I need to think about, in our mind, it's like, what exactly do you need to think about? Mm-hmm. Like where when you close on this call, what you're going to be thinking about. I'm not saying that it's pressure. We're not applying pressure. We're just seeking to understand so that if there's anything missing in our presentation, in our offer, we can address that, even allowing them to think about it. I think, I've been on sales calls before where it's too much pressure. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the people are utilizing all these sales tactics to pressure me into making a decision on the spot. When I'm feeling like that, when I'm feeling cornered like that, I fight back and I resent the people. And a lot of the times this call, like I happen to be on calls where like I felt that pressure to make a decision and they're like, oh, it's too expensive for you. Oh, we have a pricing plan. I'll put it in the credit card.
And that would make me mad because then it's like, well, why didn't you tell me this before?
Yes.
So I want the transparency from the very beginning.
So we definitely want to give them the choice to go and think about it and go discuss it. The only issue is that we have to understand that it's very important to secure the next step. So, okay, you want to think about it. Okay, let's schedule. Should we follow up with you? Should we schedule time on our calendar next week? Mm-hmm. So that you have thought about it. So we give them an opportunity to think about it, but we put something on our calendar as a next step. So it's important.
But I don't think that it's a bad thing to ask, well, what is it that you're still uncertain about?
Oh, yeah,
right?
Of course.
I think it's good. That. I think it's good to ask that question. And so that way they can tell you straight up. Because towards the end of the conversation, sometimes they're not feeling it. Sometimes they really are uncertain because they think that we haven't persuaded them enough to understand what their need is, right? And so this is kind of allowing us that last moment to, okay, maybe I didn't get something right. Maybe we're still not super aligned. What is it that I missed? You're asking them, what did I miss? And so now they'll tell you straight up, this is what I actually need. I don't want the bells and whistles. I want this pain point to be fixed. That's what I need. And then now we can be like, oh, okay, I better understand now. Let me tailor the conversation or let me give you an example of how we were able to do that for another client.
100%. Yeah.
The other one that we hear all the time is, oh, well, I still need to talk to my partner, right? And then so this one we do hear often. And then what they're really asking for is, I need help because they're either unconfident about themselves or uncertain. Maybe they're not the main stakeholder. Like for us, we both own Parrots Lab, but I would say that the main decision maker would be you, right? So maybe someone is trying to sell to me and maybe I'm convinced, but how am I going to go and convince you, right? So when we hear that, oh, I need to talk to my partner, we can ask the question, oh, well, why don't, would you feel comfortable if the two of us talk to your partner together? Would you like me to help you when it comes to helping them have the conversation? Because, I can see that you're convinced. I can see that you understand that this is a need for both of you right now. And so now the two of us can work together where you can say, honey, this is something that I think would be really helpful for us. I would love your support so that way we can implement this for our company together.
Yeah. And another question that we could ask is that, what do you think your partner's objection are? Mm-hmm. So we're trying to, because they know their partner.
Yeah, and you're creating an ally. You're creating an ally with them because sometimes they need that help. They're not going to be as good at explaining the product as you are, right? Because that's your product. And so now you can offer to be on the call with them and you're allying together where she knows your partner. She shared what the potential objections might be. And now we come prepared to be able to say, hey, this is how this product will be able to help you.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
All right. What's next?
All right. The next one is now isn't the right time. And so what they're saying is that their pain at the time or at that moment isn't urgent enough. As entrepreneurs, we have all kinds of things that are, that we have to juggle at the same time. And so this particular marketing pain might not be painful enough. Maybe their operations is their particular pain that they want to focus on, right? And so this is going to help us understand what their pain points are, how big of a pain point this is. And if we start to see that it really is a pain point, now we can amplify the cost of not getting rid of this pain.
The opportunity cost.
Yes, exactly. So what would be the cost of you waiting 3 more months to do your marketing, right? The cost would be that you still have less clients, less money in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
Operations, yes, it's important, but you can fix operations with doing marketing, getting you more leads, getting you more clients, and then that's going to help you put the money into the operational costs.
100%.
The next one is, oh, well, I've tried this before. I've tried this before. I've been burned. And this is all a trauma response. And you touched on this earlier too, honey. You touched on it. And then you also said that it's important that we validate their feelings. You talked about validating their feelings, validating their past experience. And then you touched on comparing it to a date or comparing it to marriage. You've been on different dates before. You've dated other people. That doesn't mean that you gave up on love, right? And so this kind of helps to reframe their mind like, oh, okay, we'll be different and we share how we're going to be different for them. And then the last one that is a good one and that is a common one is, oh, I don't know. I don't think that this might be right for me. And when they're saying oftentimes is, oh, I don't know if this is good for me. I don't know if I'm sure about this. And so a lot of times they're not ready for that transformation or they don't even know. They're afraid to take that leap because it goes back to fear. Anytime that change happens, change is scary. And so change can limit us from creating that transformation into making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so this is where we go back to what you touched on earlier, where it's shifting their belief, right? We help to give them the confidence. We help to alleviate that self-doubt and address that self-doubt directly because we all have those self-doubts. We all have those personal objections about ourselves. And it stems oftentimes from trauma. So being able to talk it out is so important.
100%. And so right now we've touched on preparation. Again, the 6 steps, right? Preparation, introduction. What else? Preparation, introduction, qualification, presentation, close, and follow-up. So these are our 6, like prep, intro, qualify, present, close, and follow-up. Okay. Mm-hmm. In the prep, we talked about mindset. We talked about knowing who's the lead is coming. We're talking about understanding the competition, understanding our product knowledge, and going in with the mindset of great. And then the introduction, the chit chat or the what is it called? This talk, small talk.
The discovery
the small talk
conversation.
in the introduction when we are like, hey, the way we greet them, the small talk, the rapport building, the mentoring, etc. And then we went into presentation, where in the presentation phase, we actually demonstrate why it's important for us to work together. We demonstrate our value. We told them how it's going to work, right? And I'm planning to have a full video on how Parrots Lab process work. So this is going to be a separate one. And then we demonstrated proof, right? I just mentioned a personal injury lawyer invested $2,000, get $160,000 in return. So that proof is quite crucial. And then when we end the presentation phase, we end it with a recap. So we talk about, okay, so basically we recap all the conversations so far, kind of like what I'm doing now in this video. Like we are recapping that portion of the video or that portion of the training where we're listing back everything and recapping the whole thing. And then in the presentation phase, we're going to present our pricing. And then with the pricing, it's so important to assume that they're already made up the decision. It's quite important. So when we present our pricing, we always have to present choices and not like, so would you like to buy this for $2,000? Of course not. This is not how we present pricing. It's kind of like, have you been to, I'm sure you've been to McDonald's, although you don't like McDonald's, but you've been to McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
They'll tell you, is it large or medium meal? Like they assume already you're getting a meal. It's like a little tactic here. Like they assume you're already making the decision, you're already having a choice, and they give you choices. Right. Instead of like, oh, do you want this to be a meal or not? So right. You're already what size is, so that assumption is quite important. So for us, when we present and we follow all these steps and we go into the closing or the closing of the sale, we have to present the choices that they have to make, and then, as you mentioned, zip the lip. Yeah. And then wait for them to say. So, for example, here, Mr. Johnson, once our production team has served your account, we'll complete the transaction by calling you. I normally make my calls this afternoon. What's a good time for me to contact you next Tuesday? So what that means is that after they make the decision, I'm going to tell them, like, I'm not going to disappear as a salesperson. I'm not going to abandon ship. As soon as I got your credit card information, I'm out. No, I want to make sure that Mr. Johnson, that I will take care of you. Yeah. You always want to have what the next step is. And there's actually a 4-part framework that I want to go over with you. Please. And because when people have like structure, they're able to remember it a little bit better. Yes. So the 4-part framework, when having a conversation with the client or the potential client, it's first important to understand their pain points. And what we call this step is getting leverage. So you want to understand their specific urgent pain before you even pitch. It is so, so important that you do not pitch and you do not give them any pricing or anything like that. You don't tell them how you're going to fix their pain point if you do not understand what the pain point is in the first place. It's like, this is where you're engaging with them. You're collecting all of those golden nuggets, and then you can anticipate what they're going to need. You can't anticipate anything without having collected those golden nuggets. You can't anticipate anything without engaging with them and understanding them first. That is selfish. We have to first get that pain point. And so that part we call the leverage, right? We understand what they need first. And that we do it by the 80-20 rule, where we ask all the questions that we touched on earlier. The second thing is value. So now this is where we talked about earlier, where we have to sell the sizzle, right? We have to sell the sizzle and we don't sell the steak, right? And so we have them like imagine
a world where you don't have to worry about all the administration. You'd imagine a world where you don't have to worry about where your next lead is going to come from, right? You're creating the sizzle based off of the pain that they have to get them into the mind frame that it's possible for us to create a solution for them, a tailored solution for them. So we connect the solution directly to that pain. And then the next portion is going to be the KISS method, where it's keep it simple, keep it super simple, right? Or keep it stupid simple. We want to make sure that we're creating a crystal clear path. This is what's going to happen first. This is what's going to happen second. The entire time we're keeping them on that cloud, right? And there's not going to be a drop off in the level of clarity and the level of, finding solutions to their pain. They're going to stay up here the entire time. And we're going to make sure that they are taken care of, that they don't have to worry about anything whenever it comes to their work with us. Right? We want to make sure that we're not ambiguous at all, that the more clarity we can give them, the better. And then that's what is going to keep them committed to us. And then finally, we want to do the fourth portion, which is ask. So we never want to close anything with them. We would never want to close anything with them without specifically giving them what the next step is, which is what you're touching on right now. So we want to be direct. We want to give them specificity. And we also want to make sure that, anytime that we are asking for something, it's because we're going to give them this in return. So we want to make sure that you come to this next meeting because, this is what you're going to get in turn for that meeting. You're going to have better scripts. You're going to have, you're going to be able to watch your videos. We're going to go over all of what the content is going to look like. So we ask them to come for something in return. So that's what the 4 steps are.
Yeah, that's great.
And then this is on, then we're moving into the questions that you had touched on earlier, right? We want to ask the 20% of when we're having a conversation with somebody, right? We want to make sure that we're asking them specific questions that are going to help them to open up so that we understand what they need. So one of the questions that we might ask is what you said earlier. What's bringing you into the conversation right now? Why are you here now? Why did you choose now over next year? Why did you choose now over last week? What brings you in now? What is paining you? What's getting on your nerves right now? And so this is going to reveal that urgency and the motivation for what their needs are, right?
Yeah.
That helps you get what you need quickly.
And again, one of the things I learned about from Shelby again. So there are 6 primary motivators for all human beings.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
These 6 motivators are like the emotion, the emotion that makes people take action.
Yeah.
Quite crucial. Number 1, fear of poverty. And I totally relate to that. Number 2, fear of loss. You lose what you already have.
So
Number
good.
3, need for approval. Oh my God, I can relate this so much. Like how much I need your approval. Like, I build a lot of things and I make everything happen. In my mind, is she going to be proud of me now? So that needs of approval is so true. And this is like for everybody.
Yeah, same here.
4, the needs, right? We're talking about the 6 primary motivators for humans. Fear of poverty, fear of loss, need for approval, pride. We want to be proud. We want to be proud.
Feel proud of what we have, feel proud of what we do.
Absolutely.
Right? And we want other people to feel proud of us too.
Yeah, ready for number 5. Profit or gain, of course. These are motivators. We want to make more money. We want to gain more stuff. And then 6 is, fear of pain. So we want to avoid pain at any given time. So yeah. Pain.
Yeah. That's so true. And I love that you're sharing this with me because this is what helps when it comes to asking those questions. We want to understand the motivation. So so going on pain, that last one that you gave, what's the biggest challenge you're currently facing right now or in this particular area, right? This surfaces that core pain, that brings to surface that core pain that you have and or that the client has, the potential, I keep calling them client, but the potential client has.
Or the prospect, yeah.
Or the prospect has, so that way you can help to alleviate what that pain is, right? The next one is you want to understand how chronic that pain is. So how long has this been an issue for you, right? How often does this happen? And then this allows them to vent. This allows them to share. And using that information that they're giving you, right? Now we can start to create and curate a plan specifically for them. We are not here just to sell. We don't want to sell to the wrong person. We want to sell to the people that truly need us because we have something to offer. And again, this goes back to that sales mentality, right? If we are in sales and we have the mentality to help, we have the mentality to elevate people from where they already are, sales are going to happen naturally. When we come into sales thinking greedily, when we come into sales thinking only about ourselves, that's not going to help, right? We want to make sure that it's a mutual win-win. Those are the best kinds of things to have. When we're giving something to someone, we always want it to be a win-win situation. Because at the end of the day, say, for example, when we're having an argument, and if we're focused on one person winning, then at the end of the day, both people lose, right? Anytime that we have an argument, it should be, and we want to come to a conclusion, and to a solution, it should be a win-win situation. It shouldn't be Diana wins the argument, right? It shouldn't be Naja wins. It should be what can we do together to create a win-win situation for both.
If the situation on the opposite side, if it was a win-lose, you'll end up with buyer's remorse. Mm-hmm. Buyer's remorse is when someone buys something and they feel they've been scammed through it or they've been tricked into it. Mm-hmm. And this is when either they ask for the money back. This is when they, become resentful. And of course, they're not going to repeat purchase. And with our services specifically, it's a, reoccurring. So for me, I had instances where a client says, oh, I want to spend $5,000 a month. And I did not offer him even $5,000 a month. Like I offer below that. Mm-hmm. Why? Because for me, I can maximize the budget for the first month, but I know that down the line, if he feels that, he came to me with $5,000 a month and I sold him on a $3,000 a month, I know that he trusts me more. And I know that I can keep this client for longer because I did not take advantage of what, comes out of their mouth.
Exactly.
Because some people they're really, innocent and naive, and they go into these sales meetings and they really don't have any filters, and sometimes they shoot themselves in the foot. And I don't think a good salespeople will take advantage of people. No. I mean, if they want to overpay for a service, my job is to tell them, no, you don't need to overpay.
Agreed. What goes around comes around.
I'd rather use this extra money for ads and make you successful so that you can stay with me for longer.
1000%. I fully agree with you. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also really important that we're transparent in where every single dollar goes to. So one thing that I love about us is we don't do altogether it's going to be $5,000, for example, right? No, it's like 2,000 goes here. 1,000 is going to go here. This is specifically for ads. And you're going to see every single day, you're going to be able to see how much is being spent on ads because it's a platform that is not ours and it doesn't lie, right? So how much is being spent on ads and what is generating, what you're getting from that ad spent, right? So that is so important for us, that transparency throughout, it's one of our core values.
100%.
And then the other question is, because we want to dig in deeper, we want to ask, what have you already tried? and what happened. A lot of people have already tried something in the past and they got ghosted. A lot of people have tried something in the past and like it wasn't consistent, right? So we want to understand what the past failures were, and we want to ensure that we're building that empathy for them, because empathy is so important, and empathy helps to generate that trust for one another, right? The next question is, well, if this problem isn't solved in the next 3 months or in the next 2 months, what's going to look like for you? What's it going to look like for you, right? And so this amplifies the cost of that inaction. So if you don't do anything for the next year, what do you think that's going to cost you?
This is so good.
Right?
This is gold right there.
I think so too. A lot of us are like, oh, maybe I should just wait. But by waiting, that's another decision that you're making that's not helping you towards your goal, right? Yeah. And then the another question, the final question that would be good for our salespeople to make sure that we're asking for any salespeople out there is, what would your life look like, or what would your business look like if this wasn't fully solved? And so this helps to connect them to the dream. We all have dreams. We all have things that we want to accomplish. But now we're sharing with them like, hey, I can be your ally to get you towards that dream that you want to get to, right? And a lot of times when it comes to people's dreams, people just need somebody who believes in them. People need somebody that will help push them towards the direction that they want to go, right? People need people, because we're humans, to back them up a little bit, right? And so this is a good way to help them. What we do here with Parrots Lab is we help keep people accountable. It's kind of like the gym, you know? It's not a one and done kind of thing. It's, hey, it's important for you to show up. You know, please make sure that you're showing up. And we have had clients being like, oh, I just don't feel it. You know, I don't feel beautiful today, or I'm not in the mood. Well, it's not about being in the mood. You may not be in the mood to go work out today, right? You may not be in the mood to go to the gym, right? But it's something that you have to do. You have to do that. And that's why we have coaches. That's why we have accountability partners. And we are that accountability partner for you to come to show up, to make sure that you're continuing to generate that content, to ensure that you're continuing to stay relevant, so that way your business will succeed.
Exactly. And we had an incident with a client where she's getting a lot of momentum. And now she became part of the Meta partner program. So basically Meta is starting to pay her money. And it's so interesting because she missed only one recording session. And literally you can see it in the graph. And she actually pointed out like, hey, you know, why would, you know, my graph like went down that period. And, you know, the social media manager was like, yeah, this is when you missed that recording session. So we did not have enough content to go up there. And so that's when the dip happened. And it's so interesting that moment, like, oh, she visualized the impact of the result of that one session that she missed.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we help you to get to where you want to go.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's on you.
Yes.
Are you going to show up? Are you going to do the work? Are you going to do the reps, right? The coach is here to help you. The coach is here to help you be accountable. But if you ignore the calls, right? If you ignore the text messages,
show up.
If you eat like shit,
yeah,
then that's not good. Then the coach is not going to be able to do the work for you.
Yes.
You know, you're paying them for nothing.
Yes. And that's part of the reason why I try to, you know, a lot of clients come ask me like, hey, you know, with your social media packages comes with like 1 hour of studio recording every month. Okay, cool. What if I missed that month? Will it roll over to the next month? And I say no. Mm-hmm. And although like it's a little like, okay, well, I say no because I want them to make it.
Yeah.
I don't want this to become a habit. Oh, if I don't do it, I'll do it next time. No. There's no rollover.
Yeah.
You miss it, you miss it.
That dip is going to happen and they're going to be like, oh, Parrots Lab.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to point fingers. But when you point fingers, 4 fingers are pointing right back at you.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, it's important for you to show up, for you to do the work, for you to come in. We're going to facilitate it for you. Yeah. We're going to do a lot of the work for you so that way it's easy and seamless. Mm-hmm. But if you don't show up, that's your one job.
100%.
Show up. And then we've got you.
Got it. Cool.
All right. So the next step in the process is build value, right? So once you have that leverage, once you understand their pain point, our job as salespeople is to make sure that we're building the value by connecting the solution directly to what they specifically told you their pain points are, right? So earlier I talked about how important it is to sell the sizzle, not the steak. Right. And so what we mean by that, like the steak is what it actually is. The steak is, being their marketing agency, right? That's the steak. But that doesn't sound sexy in itself. It's like, okay, you'll be my marketing agency. So what? Like, what is that? Right. But the sizzle is the transformation that's going to happen by them having that marketing agency. That's what we're talking about when it comes to the sizzle. So we always want to share and sell the sizzle, not the steak. And so, so the steak would be like something like when we always tell our clients, okay, this is a 6-month commitment. Like, dang, that sounds like a lot. Some people don't have a relationship for 6 months, right? 6 months is a lot of time. But what we're actually saying here is that, and what we'll say to them is, with that sizzle, in the next 6 months, you're going to have a specific outcome that they want, right? Which you told me that you've been trying to achieve for this amount of time, right? Good. That's the sizzle. That's what we're talking about. It's not, oh, this is going to be a 6-month commitment, because they're like, no, thank you, right? We're telling them that, and remember what I said earlier, people believe 100% of what comes out of their mouths. So they told you, remind them, this is what you told me that you needed, and that this is what you've been struggling, that you said for the last 10 months, right? So this is what the outcome is going to be based off of what you said your needs are, right? And that's what we're talking about when it comes to the sizzle versus that 6-month commitment. The other thing that would be considered a steak, right, is we include one-on-one updates every single month, right? Every month you get a one-on-one update. Well, okay, that sounds like work, right? That doesn't sound sexy and exciting. So what's the sizzle for that? Well, every week you'll get a direct line to Naja, or you'll get a direct line to Diana, right? Who can help you navigate exactly the kind of problem, right? Whatever problem it is that they have that you just described, so that you're never alone and you're never stuck with it. We'll help you move the needle, right? So good. That's the sizzle. It's not, oh, you have another one-on-one every week. It's, we're helping you to get to your goal. Yeah. Right?
It's like building blocks. Like every meeting is that one block on top of each other.
Every meeting, you get to see the metrics. You get to see that needle moving. And how cool is that? Because normally on your own, you're not able to see it. You're just like, where am I? Like, what is it working? Right?
Yes.
But now with us, you're tangibly able to see a full dashboard of what's happening week by week.
Absolutely. And we have these metric sheets that we keep track with.
Now, the other piece of the steak is, our process is 5 steps, right? Our process has 5 different steps. Our process has 7 different steps. Our process has 10 different steps, right? But instead, the sizzle is, most clients see a specific result in the first 30 days, right? Which aligns up with the timeline that you're mentioning is important to you. Right? Remember, now you're saying, you said that this is important to you. We're going to help you get there. And we have tangible results from other clients as well that fit the timeline that you say that you need, right? So we're giving them exactly what their ask is. The next one is, we have case studies. Okay, that's nice and cool that we have case studies. How dandy is that, right? But that's the steak. We have case studies, and that's great. But what they want to know is, I want to show you someone who is almost in an identical position as you, right? And what you just described. Here's what changed for them. So now you're showing them, right? Oh, it's not just a regular case study. It's a person that mirrors exactly the pain that they went through. And here's what we fixed for them. And here's what we can tangibly fix for you. So now they can put themselves in that mind frame. They can see, oh, that dream that I have, oh, that pain point that I have, it can be solved because they've already done it, right? And then the last one that I have is our support team is available 24/7. Okay, that's great. But how do we make a sizzle for them? How do we tailor it for that person? And so we can say, well, when a crisis hits or when something happens at 11 p.m. for you, Stacy, and it's probably going to happen at some point, you're not going to be stuck Googling it, right? You'll actually have somebody who knows your exact situation, your precise situation, who's going to help you. No, you don't have to do all of the explaining and give the whole backstory. We know what is needed and we've got you, right? And that's what makes the difference. The sizzle is everything that is tailored and it's personal and hand wrapped and tied in a bow in a little present for them. And that's what we do. That's part of our business. We're not this big conglomerate media agency where you'll hear back from us in 48 hours. No, we are the type of team that has a specific social media manager designated to them. And we still join those meetings. We still make sure that, hey, is everything being taken care of? And if it hasn't, why not? It needs to be done ASAP. It's top priority, right? So yeah, at the end of the day, it just can't be generic. It has to be super tailored. And that's really what is the second part of building that value for that.
What's step 3?
All right, step 3 is what we talked about earlier, that keep it stupid simple, right? So they need to be able to visualize exactly what's going to be happening from the moment that they commit. It's what you said earlier. You don't just close them and say, all right, have a great day, right? No, we specifically have to tell you what happens immediately after they say yes, right? They also need to know, what does the first week look like? It's kind of like, okay, there are some companies like my company, for example, where, I went in day 1, there was no onboarding plan, there was no checklist, there wasn't anything like that, right? Not with us. With us, we have something specific of what week 1 is going to look like for them. So that way they don't have to guess. They don't have to think like, oh, did I make a mistake? Am I being ghosted right now? They never have to go through that. It's, what does week 1 look like for them? What does month 1 look like for them? And that is what we're going to follow. And then the other thing that we should have clarity on before we even leave that meeting after they've said yes is, what results should they be expecting in the first 30 days, in the first 60 days, and in the first 90 days? What do those first 3 months look like for them, right? And then we let them know, we let them know that week 1, they're going to be assigned to that social media manager, right? Week 1, they're going to have that team, that designated team where they can text message right away. It's a personalized interaction. And then we also want to make sure that we're providing one super clear next step that you're going to ask of them right now. So this is what I need from you. I need to make sure that we book something of what for the next scheduled time where you're coming to the studio, and we get you to start approving the scripts by next week. We make sure that we know what you're going to wear, and we know what set you're going to use, right? So it's along those lines. We're making their dream a reality. It's very tangible for them. So yeah, a lot of times people say no because we're not being clear. And so we want to make sure that we're as clear can get. Any questions on keep it stupid simple?
No.
All right. So let's go to step 4. So step 4 is the ask. So remember, we've talked about this before, that you're never going to get anything without asking. Don't assume that you're going to get the promotion. Don't assume that you're going to get the project that you really want, right? It's important that we ask for it, but we want to ask after being super informed, after having had that clear communication. And so, the close to what you were talking about earlier, it's a natural result of a well-run discovery conversation. Everything else has to have happened, and we should not have pitched anything. And, we talked about how we're transparent with our prices. The guest, the client, the potential client is already going to have a good idea of what our prices around how much they are, right? How much our pricing is. But they're not going to know, and they're not going to know exactly what it is, because we need to have it tailored to them. And we're only going to be able to tailor it to them after we've had all of this conversation with them, gone really in depth into what their needs are, had those discovery questions. And now step 4 is now when we can ask them, like, are you ready? Right? This only now is it that we're able to say, hey, are you ready to close? Right?
So what are some examples? How would you ask this question?
So there are a few different types of closing conversations or closing asks. So one could be a direct close, where you're like, well, based off of everything that we've had the conversation on, everything that I've shared, I believe that this is the exact fit for what you're looking for. Are you ready to move forward today? Right? So we're asking them directly.
Yeah. But the only issue with this is that it's a yes/no question, where what I was explaining earlier is that instead of doing that, let's offer them choices. Based on everything we've done so far, which of these 2 packages would you be moving forward today?
Yeah, I think you can definitely do that. But if you have a direct number in mind already, that's when you can ask about that direct close. Sure. Or that's when you can ask about, are you ready to move forward? I always offer 2 choices though,
because it helps them make the decision themselves, and it doesn't put a lot of pressure on them.
Yes. However, there are times when they've kind of already explained what they want.
Okay.
And so it just doesn't make sense, because then it looks like we're not listening to them.
Yes.
Like, do you want to go with the one that you've already talked about, or do you want to go with the different one? That doesn't make any sense. No, if they're clear on what they want, yes, and they're direct with it, then why offer another choice when we know that that's the best one for them?
Sure.
Right? I think that's also really important. So the other type of close is the assumptive close, where it's like, let's get you started. I'll pull up the agreement, or I'll pull up, our contract, and then you can confirm your email address with us. And so that way you're starting to, say, let's get started on this. We're a good fit. And then that's when, and remember, we talked about like the assumption. When we're coming into a conversation, it's good to be a little bit delusional. It's good for us to be like, you know what? This is going to work for us. We're going to be able to make this happen, right? And not come into it with a negative mindset. So that assumptive close, after you've had the conversation, after you've seen the positivity, after they've said, yeah, this sounds like it's a good fit, now you can say, all right, let's get us started. And then there's the summary close, where you say something along the lines of, you told me that this is the pain point, right? You want this, your dream outcome to be, right? And then you've been dealing with this for this amount of time. We've already talked about how Parrots Lab is going to be able to help you and assist you with all of these things, right? So everything that we've talked about addresses exactly what you need. Are you in?
That's awesome. Yeah, it's kind of like part of the recap when we talked about, like, we ask all of these questions in the discovery phase to be able to recap it at the end with the presentation of the offer.
I love it. Yeah. And then there's a silence close, which is you state your price and your ask, and then you stop talking.
Zip the lip.
You zip the lip. And then every second of silence actually works in your favor, right? Because this kind of prevents I need to think about it, right? We've already hashed everything out. We've already addressed your concerns. This is the price point. Are you ready?
I love it.
Right?
Cool.
And then the final ask is re-ask after the objection. So remember, we touched on the objection earlier. Mm-hmm. And so we want to, great, they had an objection. I love it. It's good that they have an objection because obviously we weren't clear enough. So now that you've re-clarified, right, and you've rolled up and packaged up that objection nicely, then you return to the ask and say, Does that help clarify everything that you had objections to, or everything that you weren't sure about? Are you ready to move forward now? Right? You've clarified their objections. You've given that empathy. You've helped them to understand how, and now you're aligned, so they don't have any more objections. Are you ready to move forward? Right? So you're reclosing, and it's okay. It's always a good thing for them to give you objections, because now you understand another part of their pain point. You can address it, empathize with them, help them find a solution, and let them know how we're going to provide that solution. And then say, what about now? Does that help to alleviate your concerns?
Yeah.
And so typically from there, that's going to help. So to recap, there's the leverage where they have the pain points and they're telling you, and this is where you use that 80-20 rule, right? Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. Do not try to sell anything. Only listen, and then ask more questions to get that clarity. Then you you do the sizzle versus the steak drill, right? You want to make sure that you're helping them, with their dreams, expanding on their dreams, telling them, you've understood how long they've been doing this. Help them see a world where they don't have to worry about that anymore. Then you keep it stupid simple, right? You clarify everything quickly. And then that's the ask.
Sounds good.
So just as a reminder, the close is the final moment of that sale, right? And this is where you've either won their services or you've lost them completely. And what I like to tell our salespeople is, if this was a no-go, even though it felt so sure, and it was a no-go, well, okay, good. Take this back, play it back in your head, right? And then ask yourself, what could I have done better? How could I have clarified it? How could I have made it easier or more palatable for the potential client, right? And just because they said no the first time, we're only going to keep growing. We're only going to help more people. Eventually, maybe 3 months have passed and they've realized that they needed us all along, right? In 3 months, they might come back and be like, hey, Naja, I've been thinking about it, And that has happened to us before, where somebody has said no to us, and now they're the ones knocking on our door.
Yeah. I think what's missing in this presentation is we did not tackle the use of scarcity. So, for example, when we are, we have to mention at some point during the sales calls that we as Parrots Lab, and probably every other high-ticket business, is that we have a certain limited capacity of how many clients we can take at any given time. So, for example, even right now, as of April 2026, we already have close to 17 reoccurring clients, which means that we have 17 recording sessions in our studio, which means that if you calculate a recording session every single day of the month, our limit is really 24 clients. So now it's real. It's not like we're fabricating scarcity. It's an actual scarcity. We don't really, once we reach 24 clients, we really can't take any more.
Yeah.
We have to do some other things. We have to maybe build another studio or something. But honestly, we do have scarcity of how many people we can. So we have to mention that to the client. We say, hey, look, we're at 17, so you're going to be number 18, but then we only have six more clients left. So if you don't take that spot, maybe in 2 months down the line, you will come to us and say, I'm sorry, I don't have capacity to take you on anymore. And so using that scarcity in the ask or during the call at some point, I don't know where we can fit it. And I just thought about it right now, is that means that we don't have, and then it also, it also insinuate urgency, that they have to act fast. Otherwise, they're going to lose that spot.
I like that we're having this conversation. I think that I think you definitely have a good point here. I wonder, and maybe you can tell me what your thoughts are on this. I wonder that if we tell this to our clients or to our potential clients, then what if they think, oh, well, they have 17 other clients. Are they going to have time for me? You know, maybe I shouldn't go with them because they only have capacity for 6 more.
So
right?
let me ask you this. If you're walking around in a street full of restaurants and there's one restaurant that has 0 customers and there's a restaurant that's buzzing with customers, which restaurant would you choose to go in?
Do I want to be difficult or do I want to be easy? No, I'm just kidding.
No, natural.
Naturally,
if
I
you're
feel like
walking a
there's
street and there's a restaurant that is empty, there's nobody there. Next to it, there's a restaurant that's alive, like almost full.
Yeah, definitely the one that's more alive.
Why?
Right?
It's social proof. So if we mention that we are serving 17 clients, this is a moment where we're giving proof. That, the things that we're selling works. Otherwise, we don't have all of these customers trusting us.
Yeah.
So it's important to highlight that. And do we have time for them? I mean, we have 25 people in our team. I mean, we're a business. We don't work with one client only. And we have capacity to 24. That's normal. Did I clarify this to you?
Yeah.
Are you convinced? No, honestly, are you convinced that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Your face looks pissed right now. Like, did I do something wrong?
No, I'm just like you presented an counter argument to the scarcity, use of scarcity and urgency.
Okay.
And I replied.
Yeah. No. I think you're right. The other thing that I just wanted to touch on, which is a pro tip, like another thing that people could use for sales is, remember what we talked about earlier, on a scale of 1 to 10, this is also how you can see and how you can understand how badly they need it, right? How badly a client needs something. So if they say, my pain point is at a 7, then you know that it's fairly high. If they're like, it's at a 3, then they probably don't need your assistance right now, right? And so based on when you get a 1 to 10, the higher it is, the easier it'll be to sell to somebody.
Yeah, like if someone would say, yeah, we're looking to grow, and this happens to me a lot in sales calls. Yeah, we're looking to grow. That's a great use for that scale.
Yeah.
Oh, so Mr. Johnson, you want to grow on a scale of 1 to 10. Like, how urgent is that growth? Like, when do you want to, do you want to grow that?
Yeah.
To that
and if
level?
they're like, I'm at a 7. Oh, a 7. What makes it a 7? Why is it a 10? You know? And then they're like, and so they'll start telling you. And
that's
then
a great
you
question.
could be like, what would it take, or what would make it a 10?
Yes.
And so now they're starting to share their fears with you. And so you're like, okay, so let's avoid those fears and let's make sure that we're happening. Let's not be reactive. Let's be proactive.
Yes, 100%.
I think that it's good. And then this is what you were touching on earlier, right? This is where you touched on the opening, the discovery call. You touched a little bit on the vision of what it should look like. And then you talked about qualifying and closing. Is there anything that you want to touch on here?
How long do you still have? How many slides do you have still? Because I want to wrap it up with some conclusion if you're done.
Yeah, I think for the most part, we're done. Mm-hmm.
Does it keep going?
Well, for this is I did a lot of these. These are scenarios for our team members for them to actively practice. Right. So they're going to practice objections, because I think role play speaks so much more than talking about it.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, let's wrap this up. So, in the sales process of high ticket sales, we have six steps. The step number 1 is prep. Step number 2 is the introduction. Step number 3 is qualification. 4 is presentation, and 5 is closing. 6 is follow-up. And during these steps, we talked about how it's important to, in each step, to really do certain things. And by the way, I'm going to prepare like a checklist for you guys to take off to print out maybe in every sales call, and then did I do this? Yes, no, yes, no. And then that checklist is going to be available in a link below this video, which I will put there. So you just go fill out your information and I'll send it to you for free. The other thing I want to wrap up with is what makes a great salesperson. A great salesperson have to have, number one, work ethic and work habits, effective work habits. So for example, this prep before a meeting, it takes discipline for us before every meeting to carve time to prep. So work habits, product knowledge. So, and this is, I think, for our new sales team right now, they have a degree of how much they know about the services we sell, but they don't have like the 100%. So it's important. The next step would be to immerse yourself in the services that we're selling. We have to understand deep down on how our services truly move the needle for our clients. So product knowledge is going to be another pillar. Mm-hmm. And then sales skills, like everything we talked about today. These are the sales skills. And those three elements, work habits, product knowledge, and sales skills, make a great salesperson. So I want to wrap this up. I want to thank you so much for all the preparation and the hard work that you did with that beautiful presentation. And I hope that it is valuable to you, dear listener or watcher. And with that, thank you so much.
Thank you.